Okay, so get ready to think small today because we're diving into the world of AI, but not the kind that's grabbing all the headlines.
Right.
Forget those massive power-hungry models for a second.
Yeah.
We're talking about something much smaller, something that fits right in your pocket.
Okay.
Small language models or SLMs.
It's a fascinating time in AI because we're seeing two very different paths being explored at the same time.
Right.
On one hand, you've got the race to build bigger and bigger models like ChatGPT,
Right.
but there's also this surge in development of these smaller, more efficient SLMs designed specifically for everyday devices.
It does feel like everyone's suddenly talking about having AI on your phone.
Yeah.
But this isn't just hype, is it?
No, not at all.
We're looking at some research here showing just how much SLM development has exploded recently.
Right.
It's like someone hit the fast forward button on this whole area of AI.
Absolutely. And what's driving this isn't just academic research. Tech giants like Google, Apple, Alibaba, they're all pouring resources into SLMs.
Wow.
They see the potential of putting this power directly into the hands of users.
So we've got mini Einsteins in our pockets.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Potentially.
But before we get too carried away, what actually makes an SLM tick?
Okay.
I mean, how do they work?
At their core, SLMs are built on the same transformer architecture as those larger language models.
Right.
Imagine it like this. The transformer architecture is the underlying framework.
Okay.
Like the blueprint for a house.
Okay.
But within that framework, you can have a lot of variation.
Right.
SLMs and their larger counterparts, they both use things like attention mechanisms and feed-forward networks. But the way these components are designed and implemented can differ significantly.
Okay, I get the house analogy. So even though they're built on the same basic idea, there are key differences in how these SLMs are put together. Could you give us an example of how these differences play out in the real world?
Sure. Imagine an SLM is reading a news article.
Okay.
One SLM might be really good at grasping the overall meaning of the article.
Right.
While another might excel at picking out specific facts and figures.
Okay.
It all comes down to how those attention mechanisms are designed. They determine what the SLM focuses on and how it processes information.
That's so cool. It's like some are wired for big picture thinking.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
While others are detail-oriented.
Right.
But even with all the clever engineering, even a mini Einstein needs information to work with, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about data.
Okay.
How do you actually train an SLM?
Data is absolutely the lifeblood of these models.
Okay.
SLMs are trained on massive text data sets.
Wow.
We're talking billions, even trillions of words.
Wow.
Think about data sets with names like the pile or refined web.
Okay.
These data sets are gargantuan collections of text and code scraped from the internet, books. Right.
All sorts of other sources.
That's a mind-boggling amount of information.
It is. It is.
No wonder these SLMs can do such impressive things.
Right.
But here's what I find really interesting.
Okay.
I've heard that SLMs can learn new tricks on the fly. They don't always need a complete retraining like some AI models, right?
That's right. You're talking about in-context learning.
Okay.
And it's a game changer for on-device AI.
Wow.
Traditional AI models,
Yeah.
they're like students who need a whole new course to learn a new topic.
Right.
But SLMs, they're more like those quick learners who can pick up a new skill just by watching you demonstrate it a couple of times.
Oh, wow.
Give them a few examples, and they catch on incredibly quickly.
So it's like teaching a friend a new card game.
Exactly.
After a couple of rounds, they've got the hang of it.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And this ability to learn quickly and adapt, it's crucial for on-device AI.
Right.
After all, our phones and devices,
Yeah.
they're not exactly supercomputers, are they?
We're working with limited processing power,
Yeah.
battery life.
Right.
There are real-world constraints.
It's amazing to think about all this AI power being squeezed into these tiny devices.
I know, right.
But I imagine it takes a lot of ingenuity to make it all work smoothly.
It does.
What are some of the challenges involved in fitting these powerful models into such a small package?
Well, you know, it's a real balancing act.
Okay.
Think about it like this. You wouldn't use a sledgehammer to crack a nut.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd choose a tool that's appropriate for the job.
Right.
And it's the same with SLMs.
Okay.
Even small design choices like the size of its vocabulary, the number of words it knows, can have a huge impact on its speed and efficiency.
So it's about working smarter, not just harder.
Exactly.
Finding that sweet spot between capability and efficiency.
Yeah, and researchers are constantly coming up with ingenious ways to make these SLMs leaner
Okay.
and faster without sacrificing their capabilities.
Yeah.
For instance, they're running tests on platforms like the Jetson Orin, which is often used in robotics, to see how well these models perform in real-world scenarios where resources are limited.
Okay, so for those of us who aren't familiar with the Jetson Orin, it's basically a powerful little computer, often used in robots and other devices, where space and power are limited.
Exactly.
So if an SLM can run smoothly on that, it's a good sign it can handle the demands of our smartphones.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And that brings us to an important question.
Well,
how do these smaller models actually stack up against their bigger cloud-based counterparts?
Right.
Is it a David versus Goliath situation, or is it more nuanced than that?
Right, because we've been talking about all the advantages of these smaller models, but there's still this behemoth in the room, the cloud.
Right.
Do SLMs have what it takes to compete with that kind of raw power?
Well, it's definitely more nuanced than a simple face-off. While SLMs are advancing at an incredible pace, there's no denying that larger cloud-based models still have an edge in terms of sheer processing power and the vastness of their knowledge.
So it's like comparing a pocket calculator to a supercomputer.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
You wouldn't expect your calculator to perform complex simulations or crunch massive data sets.
Exactly. There are certain tasks where that raw power and access to vast amounts of data are still essential.
So does that mean we're stuck choosing between the convenience and personalization of on-device AI and the heavy-duty capabilities of the cloud?
Right.
Or is there a way to have the best of both worlds?
That's a question a lot of researchers are grappling with.
Okay.
And the answer, thankfully, might be a resounding no to having to choose.
Okay.
The future might actually lie in a world where SLMs and the cloud work together.
Now, that's what I call a plot twist.
Yeah.
So it's not about one replacing the other, but about finding ways for them to complement each other's strengths.
Precisely imagine a future where your phone's SLM isn't just static, but constantly learning from your habits and preferences, becoming this incredibly personalized AI assistant.
Right.
Then, when you need to tap into more complex capabilities, it seamlessly connects with cloud-based AI, leveraging the best of both worlds.
Okay, so instead of an AI showdown, we're talking about an AI team-up.
Yeah.
That sounds way more exciting, honestly.
It is pretty cool.
It's like having the best of both worlds.
Right.
The personalized touch of on-device AI with the power of the cloud as backup.
Exactly. And this kind of collaborative AI, it's not just limited to phones and devices.
Right.
Think about the potential in healthcare, education, even environmental monitoring. There are so many fields where having that blend of personalized and powerful AI could be transformative.
It really feels like we're on the verge of something big here.
Yeah.
But since we're thinking about the future, what are some of the key things people should be paying attention to in this space? What's going to shape the future of on-device AI?
Well, for one, keep an eye on those data sets.
Right.
Remember we talked about how crucial data is for training these models?
Okay.
The quality and diversity of that data are going to be key to unlocking even more impressive capabilities.
It's fascinating that even though these are small language models, the data they're trained on is anything but small.
You got it. And one interesting trend is this idea of overtraining, which we touched on earlier. Basically, researchers are finding that you can squeeze even more performance out of these smaller models by training them on a truly massive amount of data.
Wow.
Way more than you might expect.
So it's like giving them an AI crash course on steroids.
Yeah, something like that.
No wonder these SLMs are punching above their weight class.
Exactly.
It's a really clever way to compensate for their smaller size and make them even more competitive with their larger counterparts.
It is.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has been fun.
It's clear that we've only just scratched the surface of what SLMs can do.
Yeah.
It's a field that's evolving so rapidly. I feel like we'll be talking about this again soon.
I agree. It's a really exciting time to be following the world of AI.
So, to wrap things up for our listeners, we've explored the fascinating world of small language models.
Right.
Those AI powerhouses that are shrinking down to fit right in your pocket.
Yeah.
We've seen how they work, what makes them tick, and the incredible potential they hold for personalized, accessible AI experiences.
Absolutely.
And remember, this isn't about replacing those massive cloud-based models. It's about collaboration.
Right.
It's about finding ways to leverage the unique strengths of both approaches to create truly intelligent systems that seamlessly integrate into our lives.
I agree.
Until next time, Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.